What happened? Uh, um, um, I know exactly what has happened. Let's look at D-Wave Quantum, a quantum computing company. They went up 38% today. Just only in a day, right? Now, Rigetti is also a great company when it comes to quantum computing. However, they're down 6.66%. Now that I'm recording this, that be the devil's number. But no. Uh, to be fair, Rigetti has been a great company based in California, Berkeley. I at one point was looking to work for them. Got pretty close overall, but decided that it just was not the right time for quantum. I personally work in AI, uh, which is funny because I do actually take time to personally record these videos. However, Rigetti, this is also, by the way, why you see my main holdings be in non-tech stocks, except Nvidia, of course. AI to AI. Yeah, I mean, it's not just that I gained a lot on Nvidia, but it's also because Nvidia quite literally was creating the resource that I was hungry after, right? So, anyways, today we see a little bit of positive news. Specifically, this was the aftermarket right here, and it was in the positives. And it slightly started dipping because, US investors were ready to just take the profit and move on. And then Senor Naranja, Senor Orange, decided to, say that it was a good time to buy. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is why stonks jumped up, baby. That is quite literally the reason. Nothing else. Now, afterwards, I mean, the stocks jumped up, what, like almost a percent? I'm not going off this list. Let me go off of the Robinhood list. So, okay, wow. I'm up 1.4% today. Or, sorry, 0.67%. But as you can see, the after hours really just, I mean, they were actually higher at 0.68 compared to 0.67. But then this past week I did point 0.1, I guess, sorry, 1.5%. Now, Bitcoin is up quite significantly. I've been investing in Bitcoin every single time that it dips to, below $70,000. But yeah, overall, I'm quite happy with what my portfolio is doing. At the same time, I guess I really don't care. I mean, this is basically just like trash money, right? Um, I'm throwing it in there. But if I actually start making, serious money, I would probably want to keep it in some other type of portfolio. But when it comes to VOO, right, like the S&P 500, there's not really much that has happened. Now, when it comes to, for example, European defense and overall just like European companies, they've actually been going just down a little bit. So, SCHY, for example, which is the developed dividend yielder, um, Oh wow. Okay. So I am clearly the last person who has talked about this. My portfolio is up what, like 8%? Cool, I guess. I really don't care. Um but overall, this position has been down by just very little actually over the past week. Now, over the past month, it's up almost 10%. However, I have not gotten it until, well, like last week. So do I want to shoot myself in the head for making these maybe miscalculated decisions? Sure, why not? Honestly, I don't even need a stock downturn to do all of that. But I mean, I'm partially kidding. Um, but no. Not really much has happened except insider trading is quite literally legal now. Thank you, Senor Donald Trump. And then the last time I tried to get VOO, it was at 480. Now it's at what, 520? Quite literally overpriced. Probably definition of overpriced. Again, I just keep looking at VOO because um, they have such a low expense ratio, and obviously the S&P 500, right? Great performance. If the U.S. is doing well, VOO, VOO, I guess is what it's called, is also doing well. Um, But then I'm also actually quite interested in dividend yielders. So SCHD, for example, is right now at what, $25.82. Now this is important simply because it's a lot less valuable compared to VU. But then I just like the industrial breakdown here, right? Like consumer defensive. So I do predict that while Trump is president, Vu is actually going to be doing quite well because, again, people need shampoo, people need toothpaste, etc. Now, um, overall, I guess since I've invested in Vu, I've gotten 1.55% back. However, this is not to say that I dollar cost averaged. No, 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 not at all. I bulk bought it the second that it fell to $24 per share. And again, when it comes to SCHG, for example, the growth fund, right? Look at this. Just please, please, just look at this. Okay, fine. 2022, it falls, whatever. This was the little drop, the tiny ass little drop, right? No. I don't accept this. This is unacceptable, and I do predict that the markets will fall to at least what, like 21, let's say, from 28, so 7. So I basically believe that markets will drop 25%. Now, this is just an educated guess, but I definitely do think that American markets are already way too overvalued. And look at this trajectory. This was a pandemic, just so you know, right? This was a little pandemic drop. Quite little when you consider 2022, that slow but mighty drop. I think when it comes to 2025, we're honestly in this section right now. This is why I'm both dollar cost averaging but also saving a good amount. Um, but yeah, overall, today was a solid day. Trump as well as Keir Starmer had a, you know, good, apparently fruitful meeting for the UK. I do think that England, the second that it removed itself from Europe, got incredibly weak and yeah, just subservient to the U.S. economy. So we'll see what happens with them. However, all I want to paint is a picture that's not overly positive. It's slightly realistic. And please keep looking at this growth curve and then this growth curve, right? We're in for a bit of a drop. And finally, if you don't believe me at all, I do want to look at VU one last time, really. But just please look at this, right? It has almost recovered from its all time high. Now, I think that that recovery again corresponds to this peak, so quite literally the same as SCHG. So, I do really want you guys to do well out there. Um, so please, 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 if you're trying to time the market, now is not the time to buy. If you're dollar cost averaging, cool, keep on going. But if you're trying to time the market, trust me, it's going to go down at the very least another 15%, but probably, very likely, 25%. All right? So, okay, well, thank you. And again, get, get Quinn. I've actually been sharing my information on there quite a little bit. Apple, for example, apparently is up today. Nvidia, for some reason, is down. That's incorrect. However, I've been sharing my videos out there, and they've been getting some likes, some laughs, some SOS warning signals. So yeah, if you don't mind, just give me a like and a subscription. At the same time, I quite genuinely do not care because you I work. This is never gonna replace anything. So, anyways, thank you very much for watching thus far.